Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is March 30th, the day the United States grew considerably. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is March 30th, the second to last day of the month. It is the 89th day of the year. You got 276 days left. Today is World Bipolar Day. World Bipolar Day seeks to raise awareness about bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is a brain disorder that causes unusual shifts in mood, energy, and activity levels. This day aims to promote acceptance through education. Did you know on this day in 1858, the first pencil with an eraser attached to it was patented by Hyman Lipman in Philadelphia? The patent was for a simple addition to the standard pencil, which allowed users to erase their mistakes. The invention revolutionized the writing industry, making pencils much more practical and user-friendly. Did you know on this date the United States purchased Alaska from Russia for $7.2 million? Yeah, and at the time, many people said it was a big mistake, calling it Seward's folly, after the then Secretary of State William Seward, who negotiated the deal. However, the territory has proven to be an invaluable resource for the United States, with its vast oil and natural gas reserves and strategic location near Russia. The sale of Alaska to the United States in 1867 remains a curious episode in the history of both nations. While the United States gained a vast territory with abundant natural resources, Russia gave up a landmass larger than the entire European continent. The reason for Russia's decision to sell Alaska to the United States have been debated by historians for years, and while there's no one answer, several factors likely contributed to the sale. One of the most significant factors behind Russia's decision to sell Alaska was the strained relationships with Britain. At the time, Russia was a major player in the Pacific region and had growing interest in Alaska because of the fur trade, which was highly profitable back in the day. However, Russia's imperial ambitions in the Pacific were increasingly in conflict with British interests. British had established a powerful navy and was looking to expand its influence in the region, including the Pacific Northwest. The Russians feared that their control over Alaska would be threatened by British expansion, and they didn't have the military ability or the financial resources to resist an attack. And that was another factor that contributed to the sale was the financial situation of Russia. The Crimea War had depleted Russia's territory, and the country was in need of funds. Selling Alaska would provide the Russian government with a sustainable cash infusion, which could be used to pay off debt and modernize the country's economy. Furthermore, Alaska was viewed by the Russian government as a remote and difficult territory to govern, and the cost of maintaining and defending the land was deemed too high. Now, keep in mind, at the time, oil wasn't that valuable, and they didn't even know they had a bunch there. The land was actually considered barren and uninhabitable, and the idea that Alaska could be a source of valuable resources such as oil, timber, and gold was not understood yet. At the time, the Russian Tsar really wasn't interested in Alaska. It was almost like a corporation getting rid of its unprofitable stores, you know? They do it all the time. And that's kind of how they looked at it. They were going to cut loose some dead weight and get some money out of it. So in conclusion, the sale of Alaska to the United States in 1867 was driven by a combination of political, economic, and personal factors. The strained relations between Russia and Britain, Russia's need for funds, and the perception that Alaska was limited in value all played a role in the decision to actually sell the land to the United States. These days, it still has resources, and it is a strategic location for the United States. On this day in 1981, President Ronald Reagan was shot and wounded outside a hotel in Washington, D.C. by John Hinckley Jr. The assassination attempt sent shockwaves throughout the country and raised concerns about the safety of public officials. Fortunately, President Ronald Reagan made a full recovery and went on to serve 2 terms in office. Now, this could have been the deep dive, and I know someone probably wants to comment right now, but we talked about it like 2 years in a row, and last year was the deep dive. Did you know on March 30th, 2002, the Netherlands legalized same-sex marriage, becoming the first country in the world to do so? The landmark decision paved the way for other countries to follow suit and sparked a global movement for the LGBTQ+ rights. Lastly, on March 30th, 2016, SpaceX successfully landed its Falcon 9 rocket on a drone ship at sea. This was a major breakthrough in space technology as it demonstrated that rockets could be reused and made space travel more sustainable and affordable. You know, I mean, we've all seen NASA the old days. They'd fire stuff up and it'd just go out into the ocean that, you know, as it fell off of the capsule or whatever. Movies released on March 30th. The Lost City of Z. This is a film about an explorer who's obsessed with finding a mysterious city in the Amazon. The film made its premiere at the New York Film Festival and grossed over $17 million at the box office. That's worldwide. It wasn't terribly successful, but it was a really good movie. Anyway, the movie is based on the story of British explorer Percy Fawcett, whose quest through the Amazon is recounted in the 2009 book, The Lost City of Z, a tale of deadly obsession in the Amazon. It was by David Gran. Yeah, this guy's obsessed with finding this mysterious city, and he'd had encounters, and he'd been writing a journal, and then he just disappeared. It starred Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Charlie Hunnam, Sienna Miller, and Franco Nero. Really good movie, though. I think I've watched it twice. Born on March 30th, 1945, Eric Clapton, English guitarist and singer-songwriter. He is one of the best guitarists ever. He was in the band Cream. He was in Derek and the Dominos, the Yardbirds, Blind Faith for a while, Dirty Mac, the Plastic Ono Band, and then finally he was out on his own and put out some incredible music. His nickname is Slow Hand, and it has nothing to do with how he plays the guitar. It actually has to do with how he strings his guitar. So musicians are playing, guitarists normally, and they break a string. So they have a little pause. Lead singer normally talks to people while the, guitarist restrings his guitar. Now, if you have roadies, they've got a guitar ready for you. But in the early days, he'd have to restring it himself while he's getting ready to play. And he did it so slow, everyone would start slow clapping. And everyone's referred to him as Slow Hand after that because he couldn't string a guitar fast. Died on March 30th, 2005, we lost Mitch Hedberg, American stand-up comedian. He was excellent. He was weird. His act was a little strange, but he was excellent. His career was just taking off. He'd done a couple specials for like Comedy Central and things like that. He had some drug problems, and he also had some medical problems growing up. And originally, when they first found out about his death, it was announced on April 1st, when he actually died on the 30th. Everyone thought it was a practical joke for April Fool's Day. Then everyone realized, no, he had actually died. Initially, it was believed that it was a result of a congenital heart defect. But when they finally got the toxicology and everything like that, he had multiple drugs in his system. It's too bad. Very talented comedian. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a very productive day. Be nice to each other.